I think we're going a little haywire because the recording it's restarting my camera here.
Oh, okay. That's kicking back in.
Okay.
Looks good. Looks sexy. All right.
Well, thank you.
See, it's funny. I'm doing a lot of recordings in Muha lately, and watch our beards grow progressively bigger and bigger with each video.
Oh yeah, bro. Like I'm a stickler for that. Like I shave like every other day still.
Like this is the first time in like 8 years though I hadn't had to shave for work though, so I was like, let's try it. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, just leave it. I mean, sometimes like the reason why I don't keep my facial hair long is because mine is it's pretty fucking tough. Like it hurts on my face.
Oh,
that makes sense. Like if I don't take care of it, it's like copper wire growing out of my fucking face, bro. It hurts.
Yeah, that I have no doubt.
Like,
oh, Jesus.
Because it's like tight curls on my face, man.
Man. So anyway, that was me wrong catching up for the first minute of that video. Hi guys.
Hey guys.
I realized what I did. That was good. That was a good like streamer face. This is Ron's new streaming setup, by the way. For those wondering, he is. Have you already started streaming, or are you going to stream?
So I started doing test streams, which I'm not really inviting people to. If you guys happen to catch them, they're on Twitch TV /EllsworthJ. That's my gamer tag on Xbox, and that's my that's a streaming persona I'm going with. Yeah, I'm gonna do some like legit programming. I look at it as more of a TV network. I'm not just going to stream games. I'm going to do a whole bunch of stuff. Matter of fact, I wanted to know if I could stream some of the editorials.
Sure, go for it.
Think that'd be cool?
I'm down. Cool. Like, I'll take whatever publicity I can get, man.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll just throw that. I'll just throw that on the stream like randomly, just to keep my channel active. You know.
Go for it. You have my full permission.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right. Cool. So again, that being said, we're here to talk about God damn it, Artemis Fowl.
Artemis Fowl. Okay, so before we start this, I have an admission. Okay.
All right.
The movie is, I remember this distinctly. The movie is 1 hour and 53 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
I watched 1 hour of the movie, and like, to me, nothing happened. And then about 20 minutes into the last part, well, not the last part, but the beginning of the last part of the movie, I fell asleep and woke up as the movie was ending. So I had to go back and rewatch it for context, but I'm still not sure I have context. Like I went back and watched it, but I feel like the falling asleep and the staying awake was the same.
Oh, it felt like it. I did fall asleep once and I wanted to.
Okay, so just disclaimer, my memories are fragmented because of that. So if I get something wrong or fuck it up, I usually don't do that. Your boy is known for precision. So
you're probably not as bad as the people who made this film, to be clear.
Well, yeah, I have some things to say about that.
Did you ever read the book?
No. I knew nothing about Artemis Fowl going into it. I ignored all the press for it. Saw a trailer for it, was like, I'll give it a shot. I like Disney movies that are non-animated. You have to understand that the 70s and 80s for Disney was a live action oriented era for them. They did mostly movies that were non-animated, and then their animated movies became really big features. But there was a slew of, like Flight of the Navigator and shit that came out when I was a kid. So I tend to pay more attention to the non-animated films from Disney than I do the animated ones. So this one caught my attention quickly, whereas like I've missed like 18 animated features from Disney in a row and haven't watched them at all.
All right. Well, I actually, for context where I'm going into the review, I actually did grow up on the books. Like I read the first 3 books.
Okay.
When I was a kid, and I remember liking them pretty good. Like they're pretty decent YA novels.
Are they like the same as like Percy Jackson and all that stuff?
Kind of, except I think the main draw of the book, which is what makes this adaptation kind of baffling in a lot of ways, is because this has as much in common with the book as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen does with the comics.
Oh wow, you did that! Wow, that's just the wrong way to start the review. Like, damn, that bad already?
It's like in the books, like, this is how easy you can tell how much they fucked up. In the books, Artemis Fowl was the bad guy.
Well, that's what I'm getting. Like, that's what all the marketing told me.
That was not the beginning of the movie
that I saw. Like, he's supposed to be this master criminal. I'm like, so then why is there no
crimes?
There's no but there's no deviant slant to the film whatsoever.
Yeah. Like, he's like the Lex Luthor of, like, 12-year-olds. That's, like, how it's portrayed in the book. He doesn't give a shit about anyone or anything. He's in it for money. He just wants to prove he's right. He's out to extort everyone. The whole thing is about, like, just a kidnapping, like, Die Hard scenario. That's the first book.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't get any of that character from this movie at all.
No.
I mean, I don't want to be hard on young kid actors because they got enough problems. But yeah, like, I don't know. It just, there's this huge disconnect between what the story's supposed to be, what everybody leads you to believe, and what actually happens. And I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah. No, I like a kid actor. I can tell he's trying his best. I don't want to shit on him too hard. But he was very miscast for this because, again, like, I had to look up Wikipedia to refresh my memory on a lot of the book because I haven't read it in a long time. But even I, like, 12-year span from the last time I read it, watched the trailer, like, I don't know what the hell this is, but it's not Artemis Fowl.
Right.
And, like, there are a lot of weird changes that just make absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because the book's in it. Like, the dad as a character does not exist. So the thing is, he died a long time ago. He was actually a criminal mastermind, but he ripped off the mafia. It wasn't like he didn't know anything about elves or goblins or trolls or whatever. It was
okay.
Like,
so that part just was made up.
It was all made up for the movie. They had no relationship in the movie and in the books. In fact, the only relationship he does have with any family member is his mom, and she has like some kind of mental illness, so he has to take care of her. Along with the butler character, who they called Tom in this for some reason, even though he just goes by Butler in the book.
Well, I mean, isn't it obvious why they didn't call him that?
Okay, I can see your point there. Point. But that being said, like, he's also like the most badass character in the book too.
Well, yeah, and see, and again, that pains me because he was a good point in this film as well, yeah. But how come when it almost seems like they know a film is gonna fail and they offer black people these lead roles in these failing films on purpose? You know what I mean?
Rather than I would. I don't want to comment out of ignorance. So,
I feel there's a long history of this sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like he gave an awesome performance, but it was almost like they knew the movie was gonna be trash, so that it was like, here, have this.
Yep.
Because
like the plot of the first book, just so you can compare like how much the movie like just did none of this, is about like Artemis Fowl, brilliant 12-year-old raised by Butler, who by the way takes on the troll that pops up later in this movie single-handedly in the book. And Artemis Fowl learns about the secret society, and he decides, like, you know what, I want to restore the Artemis Fowl family fortune. I'm going to exploit this. So just to prove he's right, he kidnaps the fairy. That part did happen in the book, except there's no redemption arc for any one of those characters. They hate each other from beginning to end.
Well, yeah. Okay, so side note. He's supposed to be a master criminal. Why would he show his cards to that fairy chick and like take off his glasses? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that bugged me too.
Like, come on, man. You're supposed to be the smartest dude ever.
Yeah, and that bugged the shit out of me too.
And you just immediately start trusting this chick, like.
And I guess we're friends now because the plot demands it. I was like, oh, fuck you.
Right.
And even then, like, Holly didn't have like her whole like my dad was framed for this and this. That whole MacGuffin that's in this movie doesn't exist in any of the books. They made it up for the movie.
Were they like trying to come up with toys and shit?
Probably. I don't know. I think they're trying to make Artemis like more sympathetic, because in the book he straight up tells him, "I want like 50,000 pounds in gold." That's what he tells him. And he gets it. He actually does get it. But he trades half of it to get his mother's like mental health back. That's like the whole like emotional crux of that whole thing.
So then why is he a sympathetic character than this? I don't understand. Like,
I don't get that either. In like the other books, they try to like they kind of build up his character slowly as the books go on to something somewhat more like respectable or sympathetic, but I guess they just didn't trust audiences to deal with that, I guess. So I was like, oh, we'll make him this like a charming boy, had a great relationship with his father, who's like trying to do bad things, but he's doing for the right reasons, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, that is so not the book in any way. And they fuck up so many things. Like the big Holly's conceit in the book is the fact that she's the first female captain of the Force. And she knows, and she knows her commander is waiting for the first chance for her to fuck up, so he can revoke that title. But that's immediately undone by casting Judi Dench.
Well, yeah, and I feel like I feel like she didn't really know what to do.
She did not. I don't know what the hell she was doing either. Like that was a
like
okay. I guess
I saw some choices, but like the choices that she made were definitely moment to moment. It didn't feel like they all added up to something.
I think the best way to put it is like Artemis Fowl in the book is the Hans Gruber of YA novels.
Okay.
It's like kind of the best way I can put it. He is not someone you're supposed to like root for.
Well, yeah,
I take that back. He's evil, but you kind of end up rooting for him in a weird way. But I don't know. The movie just had no interest in that story, which is a shame because I feel like that'd be way more interesting than what we got.
And I feel like they missed a huge opportunity here because they could have made him like the opposite side of the coin, Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? Where it's funny that he's evil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you could that's where I thought they were going at the beginning, where he's sitting down with his schoolmaster, his headmaster of the school with the chair. Observing the chair and shit, like and telling him about the chair. Like, see, I thought that's where they were going. I thought it was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be funny, like a Wednesday and Pugsley Adams kind of funny. Like, oh, they're creepy and they're fucking villainous, but it's funny. You know,
it worked, and it was like, God damn it! I wish they kind of stuck more with like the base script and what the book presented, because it's such a more interesting idea. And something you don't see in a lot of like YA movies. So like the plot is there, the ideas are there. You have the fantasy trappings too, if you really care about that. But they just like they pushed out. I'm just gonna say it. They chickened out.
Well, yeah, and then they don't clearly articulate within the writing the reason for the glasses. Yeah. For example, yes, you see them flashing people's eyes and stuff, but you don't ever know that that's a big deal. We don't even know that Artemis Fowl knows that about them until they're just out there wearing glasses. And I'm like, okay, so this just went like to Men in Black, like really quickly.
Yeah, like even if you take out like how badly it fucks up the book, just the way it stands on its own just does not work. And I think I can get over like changes in adaptation. Like I'm not a big stickler for that, with some exceptions.
True. And I know this.
Yeah, I was like, because I've written about it several times. But that being said, like if what you change it to is not even remotely engaging, then you failed. And there's no other nice way to put it.
Well, there has to be a reason why you're changing it.
Yeah, and it can't be to dumb it down for the audience, which just feels like what this does. Like, oh, we can't have him try to extort people like he does in the book, so it's got to be for this magical MacGuffin that he had the entire time. And I don't know why they changed it, so it's him with his father. Like his father had all the discoveries and tried to protect the world from like all this stuff. It's like
like Colin Farrell, and I think Colin Farrell that was another opportunity wasted because we could have got something good out of him too. I think
Colin Farrell's a great actor. Like, you give him any role, he will act the shit out of it.
I agree. That's why. So that was another thing. Like when I saw him, I was like, okay, so they're gonna make this a little bit deeper than like your standard Disney fare, right?
You would think. I wish they took more chances with this. And I think it's the most disappointing part of it is like they took out all the things that made the book compelling and interesting and unique. Like gave its unique identity and just replaced it with this more traditional fantasy Disney trappings. And I was like, no, that's not the right approach to take. And that's why I compare it to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because that movie did the exact same goddamn thing.
Well, yeah, and I never read that comic, but you could watch the movie and just know something's wrong.
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, that's funny that the source material for that one and this one I haven't read. All right, I'm losing you a little bit. Uh-oh. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good again. We're good again. Yeah, you froze up on my screen. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you
The
did for me
aliens have
too.
attacked.
Oh no.
They
Everyone's
flashed
watching.
they flashy thinged you. Artemis Fowl got to you.
Oh god. Yeah, like I was saying, like when they get like actually show them like in the cage and Artemis Fowl's actually gone through the kidnapping and stuff like that. It's like, okay, maybe this is their lead into it. Maybe now they're gonna do it. And then he takes off his glasses, like, oh, your father's dead. Mine is kidnapped. Let's be friends.
Well, yeah, and also there's some scrutiny brought up to this chick because of who her father was, right? But immediately the entire force is willing to go all in for her, even though they already consider her shady, right?
Yeah.
So that seemed weird too. Like it's like they're willing to out themselves to the entire fucking world just to get this one chick. Like, does that make sense to you? It doesn't to me. I'm losing you again.
A lot. Like, I mean, that boy. Yeah. Like a mind wipe bullshit was like. Right now? Hello?
Okay, good. Yeah, we're good again. We're good again. This is the first time we've had problems, man.
Yeah, I know. It's the more we do this kind of thing, the more issues come up. So apologies, folks, for the delays. We're figuring this out as we go along. What are you gonna do?
But honestly, man, that's like all I have to say. Like, just to me, the film crumbles underneath the weight of these questions that get asked that don't get answered in the right ways.
Yeah, I think it's more like the world building and the way it sets everything up is just it doesn't work cohesively, it doesn't work narratively. None of the characters are particularly compelling, which makes this deviance from the book all the more insulting.
Yeah, it's like little threads of a plot line where you pull it to see what happens, and then the whole movie falls apart.
Yeah, and like this movie also has like what 3 goddamn like narrative devices in the beginning of the movie. Like between the news reporters and then Mulch, played by goddamn Josh Gad, telling this whole story to this like negotiator who never at one point does, okay, can you get to the point? Which I feel like is what I would do as a negotiator. Like, dude, you're taking like a long way around here. Can you just get to the point? And I fucking can't stand Josh Gad in movies. I have nothing against him personally, but I can't stand him in movies because they always give him way too much to do.
Well, yeah, I feel like we have to make these distinctions because, like, we've talked about so many movies and so many different scenarios and instances that we do or don't like. I don't know. Maybe this needs to be said now that you've gone so deep. You have so many seasons of this. Like, like actors, we're not bashing you intentionally. There are, as far as I'm concerned, there's no weak performers that get to be Hollywood movie stars. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're not weak people. They're not weak-minded people at all. They each had to do something distinctly difficult to get where they're at. For that, they're to be commended, right?
Absolutely.
But your job is to tell stories and to work with the director to tell stories. And we would be lying if we said that you got it right all the time.
Yeah. So like, whenever I criticize an actor, say I don't like this person, I'm never criticizing them personally unless they do something shady in real life. Right. But it's more like I'm only talking about their context in the stories I see them most prevalent in. I have no doubt Josh Gad could be a good actor, but I just don't see him in roles that let him actually flourish all that often.
Right. And I think I don't know, man. Like people just get handed stuff, and some people just don't say no. It's like a Nicolas Cage type thing. Nicolas, like, but I respect his stance on it. Like they've interviewed him about it, and he's like, man, I just like making movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, what looks interesting to me is the one I go for, and I try to make it work, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? I mean, he's done plenty of like Academy Award worthy instances of film and acting. So if he just wants to tell stories for the rest of his life on his island, and
it was like what was me and Muha watching Mandy last week?
Okay.
And there's just one scene where he's like just dealing with all the shit he's been dealing with. He's drinking like vodka in his underwear in the bathroom, and he just parts of his it's like just kind of just shouting and then drinking and then shouting and then crying. And we're like, is this like insane or kind of brilliant?
See that's what I mean. I feel like Nicolas Cage, he peaked early in Hollywood doing it. Like everybody loved him so for everything he did for so long.
Yeah.
That he's just like, I'm bored with that shit. Like I need to like
I'll
do
whatever
something
I want
that
now.
nobody expects. Yeah.
And you got to respect that. Like I said, if you just go for
I really
it.
do, man. I really do. Like I don't hate an actor,
It's like what's another one that falls in the same category? Elijah Wood also falls in that category of just actors I will respect the shit out of because they just go for it and do whatever the hell they want.
Like Elijah Wood is another guy where as soon as he started acting, it was just like bop, 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 bop. Everybody loved everything he did for like 5-6 years in a row. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna do Sin City.
You should see his recent filmography. It's got some wacky stuff in there. It's kind of great.
I believe it, man. I believe it. But yeah, I respect. In case you guys didn't know that, we respect and love you all.
Absolutely.
I love storytellers. I love the acting profession. We're just talking about something that doesn't work. Yeah. If you have an art class and you tell everybody to draw a dragon and somebody draws a goldfish, it's just not a dragon.
Why you draw a goldfish? It's all I know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just not what it's supposed to be. Okay.
Yeah.
No. All right. That's it.
Yeah. And fuck. And like Artemis Fowl, just taking it back to the topic at hand. Just nothing works. None of the changes are justified. Nothing here is interesting.
Okay. I like the Butler. To me, works. I like the Butler.
I like what they were going with him. I don't think it went far enough.
Yeah, but him as a mechanism, like he's pretty consistent and he acts the way you think he should. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. He was one of the more consistent ones. I will completely agree with you.
And I'm sure that the director was like, we have to get him working, and they did.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That also goes to me like comparing him to the character from the books, who was just like way better.
And the Minotaur, that had to have been hard to direct.
Him I actually didn't mind.
Like I said,
the ones like him, I was okay with.
I could tell where the director spent his time, because the horseman spinning around on the turntable, that shit must have been difficult.
Like I'll give it a fair point for the Minotaur. The Minotaur was good. I was okay with him.
And
everything else, from this really sloppy storytelling, to the incohesive narrative.
I'm kind of bummed out that it didn't work because I like the Disney alternative lifestyle movies.
I would love a good Artemis Fowl movie, like something that actually felt like didn't insult its audience by trying to dumb it down, which is what I felt like this movie did.
And I heard on the low that there were some problems going on in the production.
You can tell. Like particularly with one of the characters in this movie that's kind of just shows up in and out at random. Which is Dom's niece. In the book, he's her sister. She's his sister. But here is like a 12-year-old niece, and I think like in a previous draft they had it where like they had like a more like childlike connection of some sort. Like Like, that's the impression I got from it. I don't know if that's true or not. But I was like, okay, why would they make her 12 when she's like 18 in the books? And why would they make her a niece instead of a sister? Because they probably wanted to like do like some kind of child connection thing between her and Artemis. And you can tell by like the first line she has in the movie like implies a shared relationship at some point, but then is immediately dropped. And then she randomly shows up in scene like, oh yeah, you're still here. You know what I think about? I think of Killer Croc in Suicide Squad and Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
Because the Lego Batman movie has this great joke where they have Killer Croc like push a button on a bomb to get it started, and he goes, "I did something," which is making fun of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
And I feel like in this movie, her whole role is like, I gave this person a sandwich. I did something. Now I'm not gonna do anything else for the rest of the movie.
I mean, but see, that's what it turns out to be. She's the real supervillain. Inside of that sandwich was a tracking device that she used to program his every move.
Oh shit! But we had a tracking device. It was in the mole, man.
You know what? I'll stop that right now. If you guys want that story, you need to pay me. I'm never gonna do it for free. I can make up these improvisational stories and add more value to your movie.
That'd be fun. I would do that.
But yeah, man. Other than that, I don't have a lot to say. I was disappointed. I don't fall asleep during movies, so when I do, it's bad.
Yeah. I think I've said all the major pieces I had to say. I was just massively just annoyed and frustrated throughout the entire and bored. Like there's just three things like God.
Well, yeah. Like I wasn't bored like squirming in my seat bored, but literally, 45 minutes of the movie passed and they're in the same place doing the same shit and nothing has changed, and I'm like, did I miss something? Like there's constantly times where I was sitting there watching it like I thought I missed something, but I've been wide awake the whole time. So finally my brain was like, well, it doesn't matter if you go to sleep, nothing's happening. So I just went to sleep.
You probably just missed like, here's like a second villain who again just kind of appears in and out whenever the plot demands it. To relieve Judi Dench, who I guess did her one purpose of saying "top of the morning" to you.
Yeah.
Artemis Fowl sucks.
Sadly. I'm a big fan of the like I said, I'm a big fan of the unexpected Disney movie that deals with some issues that kids maybe need to see but don't know that they need to see, So I thought that's what this was going to be. But
and I wish it was, and I wish more movies took chances like that.
Yeah. Well, the 70s and 80s are littered with them, dude. Like, like seriously, someday we should sit down and just have a good time watching all those movies. Like, Disney was in rare form with the messaging and the storytelling in the 70s and 80s, bro. Like, so many good ones.
And there are a lot of like TV shows and movies for kids out now that are like trying, not necessarily like in the dark direction the 70s, 80s did it, but are still like pulling like different messages and more bold and progressive messages to kids, and I think that's great.
Like Troll World Tour.
Oh god. Honestly, Trolls 2 actually kind of had an anti-capitalist message, so kinda.
What that first one you're talking about, yeah.
Oh, the first one, not so much. The second one was.
Oh, the second one, the World Tour was.
The second one, it was amazing because, like, does this movie hate pop? Because it feels like it hates pop. Because the whole point is like the pop, music pop appropriates all the other music genres into itself because it didn't want to share.
Well, yeah, but what Trolls doesn't say is that it's Trolls the movie's fault because you got that stupid Justin Timberlake song and stuck in everybody's head. In the first one, pop consumed the world because of their first movie.
Maybe this is their apology.
Yeah, it took over the whole fucking world.
Yeah, but I think kids media is getting to a place where it's starting to push more boundaries, and it's kind of sad when you see an example like this that kind of pulls it back.
I agree. I believe there's a reason why the social and culturally relevant cartoons and kids shows of the 80s and 90s are what's popular with this current generation of young people. They're the ones searching it out on YouTube, watching it again on Netflix, like all those things.
Or like even like repurposed for the modern age. Like look what they do with
Yeah.
She-Ra.
Yeah. I've heard mixed stuff about She-Ra, but
I really
anything
like it.
like, yeah, to me, in my opinion, She-Ra was some basic ass shit, just like He-Man was. It wasn't, there was nothing socially relevant to
No.
begin with. So anything you add to it can only make it better. Like,
That's true. I'll give
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like She-Ra and He-Man, they was doing the most ridiculous shit. They was
yeah.
it was like kicking planets and shit.
I remember
You know
that,
what I mean?
yeah.
I'm like, so yeah. So for somebody to be like, "Oh, She-Ra has an agenda," I'm like, good. I'm glad it didn't before.
I mean,
Didn't
the
have any
He-Man
kind
had
of
an agenda
story.
too. That's why they held the same body type, because they could reuse the same mold for the toys.
Yeah. He-Man and She-Ra had an agenda. It's called steroids. All right.
and product placement.
There you go. Yeah, and those toys sold like gangbusters, dude. Like, I was never a huge fan. I was never a huge fan.
It was never really my thing either.
I was a Ghostbusters.
Oh, I know.
GI Joe, Nintendo Entertainment Hour,
And Power Rangers.
yeah, Power Rangers, all that kind of. But all that stuff had like super deep entrenched morals and meanings, and all of, and that's like who I am as a result.
All right. Well, I think it's all I really have to say about Artemis Fowl. Now we're just kind of shooting the shit, which I'm more than down for. But
Well, it's my anniversary today, so I'm on allotted time.
No,
I've
totally
been given this time by my gracious wife in order to complete this review I should have done on Friday.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, it made sense on Friday, given there was a holiday. So yeah, I think we'll wrap up there, so you can get back to your lovely, lovely wife. Please tell her I said hi.
Absolutely, we'll do.
And I don't know what comes out, like big releases in the near future. Like nothing for a while.
I think that the next big one, isn't it like Black Widow?
It might be. I know AMC's talking about opening up again soon, so maybe they'll start seeing some actual like theater releases in the near future.
Yeah, but they're already tanked because
Oh yeah, I know.
the lifeblood of AMC movie theaters are Universal movies, and they completely cut off all contact with them. So I'm interested to see like if like half the movie theaters that are in the movie plexes are like not being operated.
I kind of don't
Films,
buy that's gonna stick.
They put out a lot of fucking films in a year, bro. Universal.
Oh no, I believe that. I think that was AMC trying to call Universal's bluff. We'll see how it eventually rolls out, but I don't think AMC's gonna take a risk at this point.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because my favorite movie theater in LA is the AMC Universal City Walk, and I'm like, how does that work? like one of your biggest theaters in America is right next to Universal Studios Hollywood. Like, I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, that's kind of great.
Yeah, it's like like dead center in the City Walk, and it's a huge ass building, and it's got like a beautiful food place and a bar on the top.
Oh man.
Yeah. it's
when this is all eventually over, we gotta make a trip over there.
Oh please, yeah, I go there all the time, man. Like
assuming it's open when this is all over.
Assuming, yeah.
Yeah, well. All right, so whenever it comes out, we'll probably see whatever's on demand, whatever like good or schlocky, shitty movies on there, or we'll just pixelate a random review it just because we have free time. So, thank you guys for watching. See y'all later.
Sure, peace.